I want to go home. You've probably heard those words when you're caring for somebody with dementia a million times, more times than you can count. I know this because I've sat down with my own mother as she looked around the home that she lived in for over 30 years. And she told me with conviction, that she wanted to go home. And I did what most people do. I just kind of pointed around the room and I said, look, ma'am, those are your photographs. That's your favorite chair that you normally sit in. Those are those ornaments that, you've had for how many years? And I just kept saying to her again and again, Mum, look, you are at home. I tried explaining and I tried to reason with her and it didn't help. She just got more upset and then she just got angry at me. Why? Because I did not understand what she was asking for. So in this video, I want to explain to you what I want to go home really means. I'm going to talk about the exact sort of phrases that you can use when it happens, and also, most importantly, what it is to avoid so you don't make the situation worse. Sorry. I've also linked a free communication guide down below, which covers all the approaches that I'm going to talk about today in this video, including printable sort of reference guide and help cards you can take away with you. So let's talk about what actually does help. I think the most important thing that I can tell you is this, that when somebody says, with dementia says, I want to go home, they're almost never talking about a physical location or a building. Home in dementia means something much deeper, much deeper than an address. The words just come out as a location, but underneath all of that is a real emotional need rather than a geographical location. It's a feeling of being safe, being somewhere familiar, where you know what's going to happen, where you're not confused, you feel more in control. And for many people, home is a time often earlier in their adulthood or even in their childhood when things felt more settled. They had a feeling of being in control, because dementia takes away the ability to feel at home in the presence. So in moments when everything feels, wrong, out of sync, the brain just sort of reaches back. It goes looking for the last time that they felt truly safe. So the location is not important. That's not the point. The feeling is the point. And when they say, I want to go home, they're describing how they want to feel. They want to feel safe. They want to feel known. They want to feel settled. And that's what you need to respond to. And I know the instinctive response, as I've done it many, many times, to I want to go home is to, to correct them or to reassure them with facts like, Mum, you are home. This is your house. I promise. And they'll go, no, I'm not. And you'll say, look, there's your favorite chair. And they'll say, no, that's not my chair. I've done all of those things. And it almost never helps. And often it just makes things a lot worse, because dementia, it affects the hippocampus, and that's the part of the brain that forms and holds new memories. So when you say you are at home, that information generally cannot be stored and held in the same way that it would be for you or me. So being corrected with facts like that they can't really access or process doesn't feel like reassurance. It just feels like conflict. It's like you're telling the person that you love that they're wrong. You're telling them their feelings are wrong. And what they hear is not you're at home. What they actually hear is you're confused and I'm not going to acknowledge what you're feeling. And that just creates more distress. And the more distressed they become, the more insistent that I want to go home appears. And you get more frustrated and they get more upset. And then it just becomes this endless loop. And the part of the brain that registers distress, that's going to be working fine. They remember all of this. And that's the worst part about it. So instead of arguing, because it doesn't work, what can you do? So I'm going to talk about 5 things that you can do. And some of them you can start doing today. You don't have to do all of them. Even one of these things, if used consistently, can make a real difference. So just try them. There's nothing you can lose from doing this. So you've heard this one, I'm sure, many times before. Number 1, validate the feeling, not the fact. The key change is this: stop trying to change their reality. Start trying to meet them in their feelings. You don't have to agree that they're not at home. You just have to acknowledge that they're feeling something real. You're not going to dismiss them. That's the most important thing. Don't say you're at home. Instead, try acknowledging it. Say, I can hear you, feeling settled right now, and that must be so hard. Or I understand and I know that you miss home. Can you just tell me a little bit about what it was like? Sometimes just feeling heard is enough to reduce the stress. Even if nothing in the situation actually changes, you've spoken to them, they've heard you, and it helps sometimes. The second thing you can do, number 2, travel back with them. If they're thinking of home as from the past, a childhood home, a previous home, then go with them. Ask them, what do you love? What do you love most about your home? What does it smell like? What was your favorite thing about living there? Who did you, love spending time with there? You're meeting them then in the emotion of safety, their reality and belonging that they're trying to reach. And often, exploring that feeling together is also calming. I tried this with my mum. Instead of doing what I always used to do, which was point around the room and say this, this, and this, I just sat with her and I'd say, tell me about your home, mum. What was your favourite room? And she'd start talking about the kitchen, the smells, being with her mother, the places she grew up in. And it just became different. She was more animated. She was calmer. She was there. For those few minutes or longer, her distress just became a lot less. Number 3, be their safe space. You don't have to solve the home situation. You just have to make right now feel safe for them. So let's have a cup of tea and sit down together. Or shall we listen to some music for a little bit? Or just to reassure them, I'm right here with you, man. You're trying to anchor them to you and not to the building. The safest thing isn't always a place, it's a person. Your calm, your presence, your voice, these are the things that communicate safety in a way the facts never can. So you don't need to convince them that they're home. You just need them to feel that they're not alone. Okay, so try that as well. Number 4, use compassionate redirection. I know some people may find this a little bit uncomfortable. I did it first, but I'd rather talk about it than not, because sometimes it's the only thing that works. I would rather that my loved one was not in distress. It's up to you if you want to do this or not, but if you're willing to try it, it's just doing simple things like saying, it's raining right now. Shall we wait for it to clear up? Or a family member, somebody they know, say, it's coming over. Let's do a little puzzle while we wait for them and then she'll pick you up. Or having someone call on the phone and say, they're running late. Can you stay overnight? Or I can collect you later. You're not deceiving them. You're giving their brain a reason to feel settled that they can actually hold on to. It's not a lie. It's about care. Like I said, it's up to you if you choose that one or not. Number 5, go through the motions. There are times when nothing you say, absolutely nothing, makes any difference. They just want to go. So prepare. Go. Go find the keys, start rummaging around looking for the coats and the purses or whatever. And then add something in to say, stop 1 second, I just need to finish this first and then we'll go. Then you can redirect their attention. But if that doesn't work and you just need to go out, then do it. I used to do this in my own man. We put on our coats. I'd walk around the block with her. She'd direct me from her wheelchair. And we eventually, after millions of turns, she'd direct me back to her own house, which was the house we just left, half an hour ago. But when we got back, she was calmer. She felt heard. She felt like somebody had actually listened to her, and she recognized the space again. Something shifted in her brain. Sometimes by going through the motions and using movements, just going out with them, for a drive or a walk or around the block. It does something different. Movement does things that words, sometimes can't. So those are the approaches for when you're in the middle of it. But you also need to be looking for the underlying cause, especially when it becomes constant multiple times a day or repeated. So I would suggest that you first need to check for any sort of physical sort of triggers. Is there a urinary tract infection? That's one of the most common and sudden causes of increases in confusion and distress for, say, older people. Uh, if this has come on out of nowhere or suddenly, always check it with your doctor. It could be a UTI infection. Second, look at the time of day. Many people with dementia become more unsettled, in the afternoon or in the early evening. And that's usually because it's possibly sundown, which is a very common thing. But if you know that I want to go home spikes at a particular time, that's a pattern that can be useful for you. It's useful information. So instead of ignoring it, start to create a calming routine in that window of that day. Have, a calming activity ready. Pull the curtains a little bit earlier, something that can distract them. And then also think about things that have changed. Thirdly, if there's a new environment, have they been for a hospital visit? Is there a change in routine, a new caregiver? All these things can spike distress, and you need to sort of introduce these things in a way that can be calming for them. And then fourthly, think about objects that are placed around the room. Is there something that can help anchor them? And I'm talking specifically here about people who are in care homes or in hospitals. I know I did it for my mum when she was in hospital for a 4-week stay. We ended up bringing things from home and putting them on the walls and around her so that she could feel a little bit more anchored to the space. She obviously had us as well, but it helped. Having those familiar objects in the space can help settle somebody. Like I said, particularly when they're away from home. Some days I want to go home will ease with the right response. And other days it won't. That's dementia. I need you to know you're not the problem here. It's the disease that it's the problem. And with experience, you do get better at handling it. I know it sounds impossible sometimes, but it does get better. So if this video has helped you today, click on the next video on the screen to help you learn the best ways to communicate and talk to somebody with dementia, because combining these skills with what you learned today can make a real difference in somebody's life. Subscribe if you're new here. Drop a comment below. Tell me what worked for you when you had the same question, I want to go home. I read every single reply. And I'm Kat, by the way. I cared for my mum with dementia for 13 years, and I talk from a lived experience. So see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye.